chance they came on a devil's game, and gosh, they paid the price. Paid the price. And now they're fighting for their lives on a mission fraught with dread. And if they proceed but don't succeed, well, the devil will take their heads. Here goes.
Cuphead is a game that borrows heavily from past run-and-gun type games. If you played anything such as Contra or Metal Slug, with hints of games like Gradius, you'll know exactly what you're in for here. Inject an art style into it, which is based on old school black and white cartoons, give it a 20s and 30s big band type soundtrack, and you have one unique package you would be silly to pass up. Let's get one key point out of the way here, because I'm sure you've heard this game is hard. For casual gamers, yes, you will have one heck of a time. You will need to be willing to put in the time and effort to learn boss patterns. Once you do, your boss will fall in no time. This game is about 80% boss fights, so if you're a fan of boss rushes, this game is definitely for you. Something even further enhanced by a certain endgame fight, which admittedly may make you want to break your controller. All I can say without spoilers is if you made it that far, you are capable. But if you want to give up then and there, I won't judge you. If this all sounds intimidating, this may not be the game for you. However, there is an option for accessibility for those feeling this way. There is a simple mode that cuts out certain sections of each boss fight or makes them shorter. The catch is you'll never progress to the final bosses in the game. Each boss grants a contract which you'll need all of to turn into the devil. Without those, you can't even think about getting yourself out of the mess you put yourself in. The plot of this game is based on doing a deal with the devil and, of course, losing. I'm taking a bit extra time on this particular point because I want to put it in a way where I don't sound like an elitist. Full disclosure, I almost gave up at the point earlier referenced, but I didn't. Finishing Cuphead versus someone who hasn't doesn't make you a quote-unquote better gamer. As a result, we all have different skill sets. But it's important to know that what you're buying into, even if it is a third of the cost of a retail game. On to the game details. For $19.99 and the willingness to embrace that old school type difficulty, you get a great deal that might even offer some replay value with it. The default control scheme is kind of wonky, so being able to change it is a welcome feature. Much like the aforementioned Contra, you get a few different choices for whatever weapon you fire during each stage or boss. Out of 6 weapons total, you can switch between 2 at a time that you decide on before picking a level. You also have what are referred to as EX shots. They're a more powerful version of the current gun you're using, with usage limited to how much of a gauge you have built up on the bottom left of your screen. If the gauge is full, you can use a special attack that freezes the action in place and allows you to do a Shinku Hadouken type special, which fires straight and takes up about half the screen, temporary invincibility, or a ghost that you can guide to do damage while still controlling yourself. All of these specials have great benefits, but used wrong can lead to easy hits taken and or suffering a death. There's also a parry system, which is triggered by hitting the jump button in the air next to any projectile or object that you see as pink. This is a key technique to master if you want to succeed and die less in Cuphead. Successful parries will build your super meter that much faster. There's even a dasher as well, in the ground or in the air, which will help with dodging attacks, which fans of games such as the Mega Man X series are used to. Funny enough, one of the weapon choices is also a charge shot. Earlier, I mentioned only boss fights. There are run and gun type levels that aren't boss fights. There are 6 in total out of about 20 plus levels. The boss fights by far, however, are the game's biggest shining points. The boss fights vary from not so bad to downright frustrating, and each comes with a difficult but fair expectation. Or at least it should. If you want near impossible bosses, well, there are other games out there, harder than this, which will be happy to hand your ass to you. Your reward, of course, for persistence is personal accomplishment and seeing more of what the boss does after each death to bring you closer to victory. Repetition is key for this game. Patience is required. There are other boosts / power-ups that can be bought with coins scattered throughout the game's run and gun levels and the overworld, which is used to pick a level you want to play. For those willing to take an even further challenge, a expert mode is also offered, which makes certain boss phases longer and throws out enemy projectiles quicker. Studio MDHR had a goal, stuck to it, and delivered. The world this game takes place in is beautifully designed and completely based off of 1930s type cartoons. The soundtrack fits the era as well and further enhances the Cuphead journey. Furthermore, if you have a local co-op buddy, you can play with them as well. As you deal with all the trial and error you'll have to endure for the sake of progression, the looks and sounds are something that will stick for a long time to come. You'd be hard-pressed to find a game that has as much character as this one this year, or even many years before this. A highlight for sure for the Xbox fans. Being that it's on the Play Anywhere program makes the deal that much more sweeter. If you happen to have an appreciation for older games and feel like boss fights have kind of become a joke, this is the game for you. This game ranks up with other similar games such as Shovel Knight that have old school vibe and offer up difficult but fair challenges. Just know this game will challenge you. The game is certainly worth at least a shot hands down, but in my personal opinion, while the barrier to entry is there, it shouldn't be something that holds you back from enjoying most of what the game has to offer, even if it means playing on simple. Play Cuphead. Just try not to break a few of your coffee mugs out of anger when playing.